you're a strange person, because you give people quite complex written instructions, but you are completely incapable of following anybody else's quite reasonably simple or complex or medium written instructions. And I think of you often, actually, when you say, "Oh, I can't understand it," because you teach quite complex things yourself. So you find it easier to teach people complex things than you do necessarily to look at other people's complex things. And it's because you're more interested in teaching than you are in learning about other people's complex things.
Welcome to Own It, Your Business and Your Life, with Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. In this podcast, we're going to cover everything you need to embrace to become a successful entrepreneur, marketing, money, and much, much more. How to create a business doing just what you love. How to own it, your business and your life. This one will be fast, funny, feisty, and very lively. So sit back and enjoy the show. Good morning. Hello.
Hey, babe, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you? So how's your week been then?
Yeah, it's good. I'm on holiday now. It's December the 2nd. And it's December the 2nd. I started my holes yesterday. I'm blogging again. I'm juicing again. I'm only at the screen for 50% of the day. Yay!
Oh, you're so inspirational.
Well, it's only twice a year, and it's all Thomas Leonard's fault, because he told me nobody wanted coaching in August and December, and I believed him. Hurrah!
You know, I'm going to be watching it with watching and trying to copy, because I have blocked out half my day, as you know, and I did actually go for my first training walk this morning, because I saw an email that said it's only eight Saturday sleeps till the cruise. And I thought, bloody hell, yes. I'd better get myself in training quick, because so I've charged up my Fitbit. That's all. Yes. A good step in the right direction.
Yes.
When I had to go and move the car at 8 o'clock this morning, I thought, just trot around the block and see how.
Might as well keep going. Yes, you had to move the car. Do you? So you have. When I used to live in central London, there was that thing where you had to move the car by 8 o'clock in the morning.
They haven't brought in residence parking yet. Something I'm very keen on. So. So when I came home last night from dinner, I had to park on a single yellow line outside my house, which meant I had to move it by 8, otherwise I could get clobbered.
In trouble. I know, they're tricky. The tricky thing is when you're so desperate at night and you park in one of those, to actually remember in the morning that you have.
Yeah, I did set an alarm on my phone, because I am prone to forgetting.
Very good, yes. Or a big note would do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, yes, if you wanted to go the non-digital route. Yes. So anything else apart from being on holiday? So tell the listeners how this works for you. No, it's 50% of screen time, isn't it?
Well, it's only the 2nd of December, so that's my goal. I'm sure I won't be able to keep it up. But actually, I don't know how my body would know I was on holiday if I just sat at the computer all of the time. So I do have things to do today. So I'm at the computer now because it's you, and then I've got to do the show notes. I've said I'll blog every day, so then I'll have to do a blog post, and I'm coaching a client at 9 of my clients. Actually, the only holiday angle is the one-to-one clients don't get a call in December, but there are 9 of them who are entitled to that, because I forgot about the December rule when I set up the Club 100. Now, some of them choose to bank it, and some of them take it anyway. So I've got one of those today. So, but that's about 50% of what I would normally do. So it's an easy day, and that's nice. I think it's quite useful. I found when you have often, I've been Decembers overseas, but when I'm in the UK and on holiday, I find it's very useful to have one thing that you could say you'd managed to achieve today, even if it's only sort of taking the dry cleaning in, or fetching the dry cleaning, or going to the post office or something. To have one thing just makes you feel a sense of enough of a sense of achievement to think that one day hasn't blurred into another, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So, you did your year of blogging. We never did talk about this. And now you're about to do a month of blogging. Is there a reason why you've chosen to do that? Just for fun, internal satisfaction, or did it make...
Well, I've missed it. I've missed it a bit, but I've been very busy, and I haven't really... I don't know. I just like writing, and I haven't. Last year I did it for 365 days because I said I would, and this year I've probably only, for the first 5 months or so, it was reasonably okay, but I think I probably only got out about 60 posts this year, which is rubbish, and I don't think I've done any for about 6 months. And so I just, well, if you've got a lot of spare time and you like writing, a bit like, well, juicing's the same, which is, terribly time consuming cleaning the juicer, relatively speaking. And so I thought, well, December, I've got time to write, I've got time to juice, I'll do those, that's enough. So in terms of the, one thing a day that you can peg your day on, one day it might be, getting a blog post out.
Yeah. Yeah. And where are you going to get your inspiration?
I don't really struggle with that, to be honest.
Oh God! So, what, you just look around you, or conversations, or?
Well, because I've been thinking about it for a few days. Yesterday, I didn't do a good one. I just did a get one out, get your toe back in the water thing. But I realised, I think yesterday I had one of my group calls for Small Business Big Magic, and a couple of ideas came out of that. So I just wrote them down, and I'll probably do one of them tomorrow. I'll see. I don't often write about the things I've listed in my list of ideas, but sometimes I do. It doesn't take me very long. If I'm going to write a newsletter or a blog post, all I've got to do is sit here and do nothing else for about 3 minutes and think, what shall I write about today?
Yeah.
And an idea comes,
I find that definitely the weekly newsletter thing, because if you think back over your week, there's always a lesson that has been learned, whether it's something you've read or a conversation you've had or something you've done that you've observed. And
yes,
it definitely helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Well, I did my workshop on Friday, which was
Yes. Good.
Oh.
I'm glad because you're going to tell us about that. Don't tell us too much now, because we're going to talk about that in Client Challenge of the Week, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, the little man who used to look after us when we had our money gym events there.
Well, I think I'm fabulous with people, but no, I have no recollection of him whatsoever. But I know that you've reconnected with him because you wrote about it or told us about it, I think.
Yeah, he's still there and he's still lovely. And but they had actually got the entire day wrong, in spite of several email communications, them telling me that it was Friday the 27th and I was staying the night before. And I got there, and of course I checked in. Luckily they had a room because they thought I was staying on Friday night. And then when I got down to the conference, when I was having my breakfast the next morning, one of my delegates, who's a lovely chap called Cliff, came in and said that they were sending people away because I wasn't there till tomorrow. I said, well, here I am having my breakfast. So they are very, very willing, but I just don't know, past email confirmation, what you can do to make sure they get the date right.
Well, it's quite interesting because actually you only did it because there was a mild threat of use it or lose it, wasn't there?
Exactly. Yes, there was. Yes, and
so you were doing it really to appease them, and they got the day wrong. I'm slightly annoyed by this story now.
Well, I to be honest, I don't care, because as long as they had a room with natural daylight and the bed for me, I what's the point in getting upset about it? It was
turning your people away, I think, is wretched.
Well, luckily Cliff caught the person they turned away, and then came and found me, and I went and alerted everyone on all the desks. But yeah, I mean, you could get annoyed about these things, but absolutely, what's the point?
Well, I agree with that. There's no point to get annoyed. I mean, thank heavens for the
go, Judith.
Yes, well done, good girl, Cliff, bit of a hero.
Yeah, so it was a nice one. It wasn't huge. There was about 10 people there, and 2 or 3 of them were there to find out about Facebook ads for themselves. 2 or 3 of them were there to find out about Facebook ads for their clients and whether they would refer me. And the rest were there to find out how to become digital marketing agency owners themselves, or Facebook ads agency owners themselves. So I really quite enjoyed it. And I was thinking it might be quite a nice, if I did 3 a year, say, it might be quite a nice way to generate clients, because some people were definitely there to check me out and see if they like the cut of my jib, and so I think it was quite effective from that point of view. Of course, I didn't actually show them how to do Facebook ads. That they all found that hilarious.
Had you promised to?
Well, obviously, yes. But I just did that boot camp for Bernadette, and I have all the recordings for that, and so that's bang up to date on how to do Facebook ads. So I kept, when it came, because I do tend to get sucked into the nitty gritty a little bit, and I wanted to keep this. I thought the workshop would be better value if it was strategy, business strategy, online business strategy, social media marketing strategy, and and applying it, because there were so few of us. 10's a nice number, and I wanted to make sure that every single person walked out of that room with a strategic plan for how to use Facebook and Twitter ads in their business, followed up by 3 months. I think it was great value, actually. I gave them 3 months membership in my membership site, so they get 3 months support and access to all the videos on how to do Facebook ads the way I do.
So the access is the most recently recorded stuff you've done, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And in fact, they get 3 months access to everything I've done over the years.
Yes, but it includes the stuff that tells them how to do what they thought they were going to get on Friday.
So we had a bit of a laugh throughout the day, because every time we got down to a nitty-gritty bit, they all just said, in fact, they said by the end of the day they were going to get a T-shirts printed saying, there's a video for that, just watch the video.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and it was great, and it did keep it up on a top-level strategic, big picture thinking kind of thing, which was lovely. I really enjoyed it.
And did you know everybody in the room, or did you meet 10 strangers, or what?
No, they were all straight. They were all, apart from one of my VIP clients who turned up just for the crack, and one of my mastermind clients as well who came along. But he genuinely does. And the lovely thing was that chap's been struggling with illness. And when he came to all of our mastermind meetings, he was really quite low on some of them, and he couldn't see that there was anything out there that he could do that fit his schedule. He really, he'd been a high level corporate bod, and he'd had an operation that had gone wrong, and he's in constant chronic pain now, and some days are better than others, and he'd started to get up and go out and help the Citizen Advice Bureau because he had to get out of the house. And he was, it was the first time I'd ever seen him really excited and animated, was the last mastermind meeting, when he realised that perhaps he could run a Facebook ads agency for himself and earn really good money on part-time work. And it being the thing that he loved about it was non-time dependent. You don't have to do it in office hours. So if you feel rough in office hours, you could do it in the evening if you're feeling better. Or, it was the first time I'd really seen him animated and excited about something for himself. So he came along to find out how he saw it as market research into the kind of clients that he might be attracting, the kind of questions they might ask. So it was great. I loved it. What's fueled your fire this week then?
Well, I've had a very interesting experience with Black Friday.
Oh, okay.
Just like Halloween, I don't like Black Friday or approve of it because I think it's an American import. Sorry to our American listeners. I know it makes perfect sense in America because it's the day after Thanksgiving and, it's marvellous. But I can't come up with polite enough expletives about it. But I had a complete about turn about it last Friday, which was fascinating because the whole point of Black Friday is to shift merchandise, obviously, and I never go shopping to a physical shop, and I pretty much have everything I need, and I'm generally not price sensitive. But I'd been on a website on Friday morning to look at something I thought I wanted to buy, and it was £99, and I didn't buy it because it was £99. And then I got a Black Friday email from them at £60.
Wow.
So I bought two. And I had to change my mind completely about Black Friday. Not about Black Friday per se, but about, the right offer at the right time, whatever you call it, is the right offer at the right time.
Yeah. So you didn't buy something for £99, but then when it was on offer at half price, you bought two.
Well, it was 40% off, which is a stonker, frankly.
Yeah.
And then I bought two. Yeah.
I'm being haunted by the most beautiful pair of shoes I've ever seen, and they are reduced on Black Friday from £162 to £64. They're remarketing me on Facebook, so I can't get away from these beautiful pair of shoes. They're the kind of shoes that if you slipped them on, you would feel like Audrey Hepburn immediately.
Well, feeling is one thing, isn't it? Now, listen, I want to go back to Black Friday because, the canny shopper, which I'm never going to be, will do all of their, Christmas shopping and beyond on Black Friday and save themselves gazillions amounts of money. And you don't even need to leave home these days to do that. So I'm not into that sort of seemly struggle in a shop for a television, which we now know that they all buy in these cheap imports in order to be able to give them away at knockdown prices. But the right offer at the right time. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you call it Black Friday or Boxing Day or Christmas Day or birthday or Valentine's Day, or just because the right offer at the right time will always attract purchasers, and it was just seeing the simplicity of that and being able to lay aside my prejudice against something. So I'd annexed my vote to all of the propaganda against Black Friday, and then found myself buying something on Friday, which was quite funny, actually. And so then I had to go and persuade all of my clients who were averse to Black Friday that actually, hello, maybe there's an opportunity for us to look again at this. And we don't, from the other side, we don't need to just market on Black Friday because it's Black Friday, but we can market any day we like and give them a decent enough reason to buy.
You're quite good at this. You do lots of special offers, not necessarily discounting things, but adding value to things and making.
Well, it's given me an idea. It's given me an idea, this whole experience, because of course, what it reminded me of was when we were children. Can you remember when we were children? And on Boxing Day, suddenly, well, it used to be the day that we had sales in department stores on Boxing Day, the day after Christmas.
Yeah.
I don't think the Americans call it Boxing Day. So our Boxing Day is your Black Friday, effectively, because Black Friday is the day after Thanksgiving, isn't it? Which is sort of their Christmas in a funny sort of way. The point of this story is that when we were children on the television, two things would happen. You would see news stories about the man that had queued outside Debenhams for 5 days in order to get the bargain in the window on the television set or whatever it was. And he'd had a little tent up in Oxford Street queuing for the best bargains. Yeah. That was the first one. But the second was the television immediately became bombarded with adverts to buy your annual holiday.
Yeah.
Can you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Thompson's, if you buy it now, you'll get it, X% off or whatever it was. So Boxing Day is our equivalent, but it's not necessarily all about commercialism. It's just another day off to us, isn't it? When the shops are open. So if you're bored of being at home, you might as well go shopping and get a bargain. So I thought, well, I'll make Boxing Day this year my Black Friday, because my newsletter day, like our podcast day this year, 2015, is Friday, is Christmas Day and New Year's Day. And so I'm sure not many people will be listening to our podcast live on Christmas Day or live on New Year's Day, but they're both good marketing days. So I am going to make special offers to my clients on Boxing Day and on New Year's Day.
Yes, because they're the Saturdays, and like you say, people will be fed up with our
Exactly. Well, certainly the Boxing Day is a Saturday, but New Year's Day is a Friday. But I think people will probably be looking at their emails. I don't think you look at your emails much on Christmas Day, do you? Fortunately, but I think you might on Boxing Day, and I think you might on New Year's Day.
Well, I'm cooking for everyone, so I'll be looking at them occasionally, just in between sweating over a large turkey. You know what?
Well, I hope that oven's working, because that oven of yours has malfunctioned. I think lost its glass door thanks to the children twice, hasn't it, this year?
Yeah. Nelson's already saying, when do the payments run out for that insurance thing that I've been paying for a year? So.
Yes.
Do you know what? The builder's departed, and literally, just as we started talking, a builder has turned up, climbed up on the bit of scaffolding out the back, and he's now dangling a hose right outside my window. I haven't seen anyone for a week, and of course they turned up in the 10 minutes that, Oh.
Yeah, tell me, what's fueled your fire?
Well, apart from the fact that we are literally in the top 100 of what's hot in management and marketing today, we are number 100, in fact, which means that we don't have to scroll down far to see us. We, as you know, have had our first sponsorship inquiry.
Well, I hoped you'd bring this up, because this is very exciting, isn't it? I tell you why it's exciting. We've been doing this for a year. We're on episode 57 today. And you know how many of our clients give up too soon on things. But we've had a first inquiry about a commercial sponsorship that could be worth quite a lot to us. But it took us 57 episodes to get there. So don't give up too soon, listeners, is the lesson of the day. Well, tell us about the sponsorship thing.
Well, basically, when I did the Patreon page, I did put on a couple of sponsorship slots, to let people open to the idea. And this company actually is a really good fit for us, because they do edit and produce podcasts for people, and they're aiming specifically at the small business market. So, it remains to be seen, but it would be a great fit, and I would have fun. I think I would do a series of perhaps 5 30-second ads for them, where I'm interviewing the founder about why he started the company, and what the most unusual podcast they look after is, and so it would be informational and value adding as well as an ad. And it would be really good fun. So I fingers crossed that we can come to some sort of deal, because the nice thing was that everyone in Podcasters Paradise talks endlessly about downloads. And I went and had a look at our downloads, and every episode routinely gets more than 200, 250 downloads. But we've got one episode, Judith, that's had over 1,000 downloads.
Do you remember which one it was?
I think it's the one about, it was one about self-esteem or feeling the fear or something.
Okay.
It was about episode 25 or 27. And it was a good one, and it was obviously a topic that really hit a chord. So anyway, I'll go back and have a look and tell you. But
if you wouldn't mind telling me which one it was, I'd love to know. I'd like to listen to it again and see if it was significantly better than the others or anything like that.
But the interesting thing was that in this sponsorship inquiry, they didn't even ask about download numbers. They just knew that we had an audience of their potential prospects. And when I actually did the sums of what I was thinking of charging for the sponsorship slot, I realised it wouldn't actually. I looked at their website and saw what they were charging to do the producing and editing, and I realised it wouldn't actually take them that many new customers a month to cover the sponsorship fees. So their return on investment is quite likely. And so fingers crossed, eh?
Well, I tell you what, it's very nice to be asked, isn't it?
Well, it is, and especially by people you don't know who've obviously been listening to the show and doing some research and found us somehow. And liked the cut of our jib. That's the second time I've seen it.
I saw that in their email, which was, I was going to ask you, how they found us, but actually they explained how they found us. They did a bit of research and looked for a Brit-centric podcast that was, visible, and they found us, which is nice, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm going to have to do some Google searching myself now to see how we come up.
But I don't think it's difficult to be preeminent in UK podcasting, relatively speaking, is it?
No, there are a lot of podcasts coming out of the UK, but in the startup space, not that many. Which is
that's good. That's good for us to know. You see.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So there's an opportunity for us to dominate our niche.
Yes, there is, and we are.
But first, a word from our sponsors.
Do you feel isolated and alone in running your own home-based business? Do you have worries, doubts, fears and resistance which sometimes make you feel like giving up? Don't worry, you're not alone. In fact, you're perfectly normal. It can be scary all by yourself. But what if you could learn how to become a confident business owner, how to trust yourself more and grow your income, relax and be more creative and productive? Small Business Big Magic is a unique business mentoring group providing grounded practical support and advice, fast responses to your questions, inspiration and solutions to boost your clarity and help you find direction, focus and success in your life and business. Join Small Business Big Magic today for the friendship and encouragement of others just like you and the enthusiasm of a coach who gets you and your business. There's Big Magic for your small business at judithmorgan.com.
So, client challenge of the week then.
Yes, it's yours. It's your outtakes from your Friday meeting about the Holy Grail and the secret key.
Yes, it's interesting, this one, because I always had this feeling that there was stuff that successful people knew that I didn't. And remembering back to the last time I was successful, which was with the Money Gym, I didn't actually know how I'd done that. It happened despite me accidentally, whatever. It didn't ever feel like I'd engineered it. So when it finished, I didn't really know how to go about engineering another success. And I flailed about for a couple of years. I've realised that the very successful people realise, and also I told you the story about how I went for lunch with my mentor and I said, what should I do? What will definitely work? And he said, well, I know what I would do, but you wouldn't do that. So there's no point in telling you, really.
Yeah.
And he did go on to tell me, and he was right. I would never have done that in a million years. So but there is this.
Sorry. I just want to interrupt you for a second. Could you just preempt all of this by telling us that I know the story, but you said that on Friday the delegates wanted to know what?
There were two things in the last 2 weeks that have made me think about this quite a lot. One was I did a Facebook ads boot camp for one of my clients, top level clients, and the theme that's been coming out of that quite strongly is learned helplessness. And they keep what's the word I'm looking? They're not even aware they're doing it, but they're talking about themselves in terms of success. Some of them are talking about themselves in terms of success in a personal, pessimistic, and permanent way. I can't remember. I think it must have come out of learned optimism. These 3 Ps, because if you hear a successful person talking, they talk in a temporary, non-personal, and optimistic way. So, for example, if you've got a challenge, oh God, I've really had a setback this week. I'm going to have to overcome it. Might take me a while, but I'll get there in the end. And they don't talk about it in terms of someone out to get them, or something permanent that they're never going to be able
or this always happens to me.
This always happens to me, or technology is me and technology are terrible. That sort of stuff. And there was a lot of that kind of language coming out, because Facebook ads is not easy at the moment, mainly because Facebook keep changing their interface. In fact, the day after I did this boot camp and recorded it all new, they made changes to Power Editor again. It's like, oh my God. But if you know that to be successful with Facebook ads, you're going to have to adapt to a constantly changing landscape, because Facebook are always trying to make things better and easier and more.
Sorry, I'm going to stop you again, because you still haven't introduced this topic.
Okay.
What you told me was that on Friday, people said to you, what's the secret key that that nobody else? Explain the topic.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so then that was the first thing about the boot camp, and then I went to my own workshop, and at the end of the day, I said I'll explain how I've built a business from 0 to actually 100. I've turned over 100K, or I will by the end of March, in a year, in under a year. So. Yeah. I'll tell you how to run a digital agency, and I'll tell you how I did it, and I'll tell you how to get from 0 to 100K in under a year.
Yes.
And there were about 4 or 5 people who stayed on for that. And we all sat there, and I said, okay, so what do you need to know? Thinking they would just start asking questions about it, the bits that they wanted to know about. And they didn't really have any questions as such. So I just started telling them, what I'd actually done throughout the year, what I did in which month, and, all that stuff. But it was interesting. It was like they all seemed to think that I knew a secret. It wasn't. I ran some ads. I attracted some clients. Some of the first clients worked out. Some of them didn't. I kept trying. I kept changing my systems to suit, to deal with every eventuality. But they all were looking at me like there was something I wasn't telling them.
Yeah.
And I remember this feeling so well when I wasn't succeeding. I believed that all the top people knew a secret that I didn't.
Yeah.
And James Schramko has just brought out a podcast, which we'll link to in the show notes, talking about this exact same thing. He went, when he was a young car salesman, he went to talk to a mentor who he later called the lunatic millionaire, because he was completely mad. And he said, the lunatic millionaire sort of shut the door, gave him a coffee, and said, right, so you're here to hear about the Holy Grail then, the big secret? And James said, yes, I am. Yes. And he said, well, here's the bad news. There isn't one. And all successful people know this, but all unsuccessful people believe that there is. And if they can just download the contents of someone's brain, they'll then be able to go and use that secret, or that Holy Grail, or that secret key to make themselves successful. Whereas actually the secret key is that there isn't a secret key.
Yeah.
And you have to find your own way. And it's quite depressing, I imagine, for people hearing that. But it's also quite freeing, because it means, and I'll tell you when I realised that there wasn't one, was when I read a book called Getting to Plan B by Mullins and Commissar, and it was the first book of the Lean Startup series, and it was where they said quite categorically that even if someone had been like someone who started Twitter, for example, and then they sold Twitter, and then they went off to start a new software company, they were starting again from scratch, because they didn't know what would work. They had a better idea of what might work and what might not, but they didn't categorically know what to do in the next company to make it a success.
No, but I think you might be more confident if you'd already had one success.
Yeah, and you've got a bit of money behind you as well, which helps. But
you'd be confident of your ability to make something work, and you'd know your own systems or processes, like, hard work equals results for some people, for instance. If you fall back on what you know works, then I think you'd feel more confident. People who are starting up, who haven't really made anything in their own right work, they might have come from a day job, or they've had a series of little, not failures, but it hasn't gone well enough, let's call it.
Yeah.
I think you're lacking the confidence in your own ability, maybe.
Yes, and if you've got some money from a previous sale of a business, you're not struggling to pay the bills, so you're not coming from a place of scarcity, which we talk about a lot. But equally, I have read books by people who've said they've started a business and Yannick Silver, I've just read, he's got a great book out called, it's something like the Inspirational Entrepreneur. It's all about coming from a higher place with your business and how that's going to be the next big trend, businesses who make a difference. And
Ooh.
oh yeah, you'd like it a lot, and
That's a bit up my route, isn't it?
Yeah, you just have to pay for the postage and packing. It's just look up Yannick Silver, entrepreneurs who make a difference. Anyway, we'll put it in the show.
I'll find it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll get you the link after the show. But
Okay.
it's lovely. It's all about people, people whose businesses are making a difference, like the one where if you buy a pair of shoes, they send a pair of shoes to the third world country for a child.
Yeah.
And things like that. But anyway, he was saying that if he started another business and having money was a positive disadvantage because he threw.
I agree with him. Yeah, I totally agree with him, because if you've got money, you'll spend it. It's when you run out of money that you do the stuff that really needs doing around here.
Yeah. So coming back to the topic then.
Yes.
Reading the book Getting to Plan B made me absolutely realise that nobody knows what's best for you, and the only way to build a business is to start. That's the first thing, and then make tiny changes as you go along, and that's absolutely what I've done with Clicks and Leads. I've pivoted so many times, not in a major way. I've always known I wanted to supply social media pay-per-click, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, but who I've been aiming at, the clients I've been attracting, how I charge. I mean, when I think back to the fact I was going to charge something like $97 a month to run someone's Facebook campaign, and thank God Dan Norris sent me an email saying that ain't never going to work. But so there are people out there who'll guide you, but you still ultimately have to make your own decisions, don't you?
Yeah. And I think, well, you said, first of all, you have to start, and then you have to abide, as I called it, which is just hang on.
Yes, but not hang on if something's. And that's the other thing, is how to know if something isn't working, because there are some people in the group that I'm mentoring who have these business ideas. I mean, you must get this. We've talked about it before, where they have a business idea and you think, oh, that's never going to fly. And it does. It goes absolutely bonkers. Or you've got someone in a group who, is really in a very worthy. I've got one client at the moment who's in a very specific niche, and you think that would help. But the problem I'm starting to realise is that her specific niche is employees. They're employees. They're not business owners. And I think employees have a different mindset. They're not constantly searching to improve their careers, are they?
The high achievers only, yeah.
Yeah, the high achievers only, exactly, which is probably, 10%, 5%, something like that?
I don't know. It depends how beaten down you are by the system.
Yeah, exactly. But so that's the thoughts really, is about there isn't a secret key or holy grail. Knowing that is a liberating thing and can set you free from constantly searching for it. That's where the old shiny object syndrome comes from, isn't it? Where people they buy a training, they don't go through it properly, they give up on it because the next shiny object comes along, and they think that one will have the secret key and in fact there are lots and lots of people making a lot of money out of selling these things quite cynically to those people who still believe there is a secret key and a holy grail.
So, in summary, the secret is there is no secret.
Yeah, and the sooner you can internalise that and realise it's a liberating, set you free, success-making understanding, the quicker you can get on with starting and then iterating your way to success.
Yeah, okay, cool, very good.
Yeah. There's got to be a coaching program in there somewhere.
About
the Holy Grail project, or the non-Holy Grail, or the secret, the non...
It's a dig in for victory, dig in for success, isn't it? Roll your sleeves up, crack on.
Yeah. Land girls thing, yes. Anyway, that's it really, isn't it? Are we done on that one? I think we are.
I think we are. Yeah, we are.
Good.
So the secret is there's no secret. There's no holy grail. There's lots of tiny bits of knowledge that you acquire, and there's lots of testing that you can do which help you make up your mind about things. But really what we're doing every day, as long as we're doing something every day, is just adding to the accumulation of knowledge that makes it progressively easier after a while.
Yeah, and the resources that will be in the show notes are a link to Getting to Plan B, which is a great little read, and also James's podcast on
Post. And Yannick Silver's book.
Oh yes, Yannick Silver's book about inspirational entrepreneurial endeavours.
Yeah.
Good stuff. What's your word of the week then?
It's sums.
Sums, S-U-M-S?
Yeah. Yes, because the day before, anyway, Monday, whatever, in the last 48 hours it's been month end, so I've done my sums, and lots of my clients were sending in their check-ins saying that, they'd done their year's sums before Christmas and da-da-da-da-da, and what I try and get everybody to do all the time is commit to doing it monthly. 2 reasons, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And you stop it building up, so you've got to ruin your Christmas holidays by doing 12 months accounts in order to get your tax return in January. But also, if you are building a business which you either intend or may accidentally get big and you will one day become a director of a limited company, it's a requirement that you do your bookkeeping on a timely basis. So I'm trying to train everybody to love the sums and do it little and often rather than make a big, horrible task out of it once a year.
Yeah, I mean, I do mine weekly, as you know, and in fact I have a lovely purple patch on my calendar straight after this call to do my weekly reconciliation.
Yeah, a lovely purple patch.
I don't know why I do it on Wednesdays. I must confess I might change that. Monday mornings would be psychologically better for me, but there you go. That's how it is, and that's how it has been for the last 10 years or so.
Very good. What's your word of the week?
Dick swinging.
Oh, again, we sort of had a variety. Well, I don't know what the word is. A version of that last week.
Yeah, well, it's been a recurring theme this week.
I think you're going to have to call it something politer. I can't put the word dick swinging in the notes. Can you not give me a cleaner version of it?
Yeah, but it's such a brilliant expression. And it really does sum it up, because it's all about how men are so much better about shouting about their achievements than women are. And yes, we have talked about it before, but it comes in so many different varieties, Judith. It's like this week I've been, a friend of mine, Manesh, has gone off and he's signed up with a Facebook ads agency in America. And obviously I said to him, what attracted you to them? And he said, well, they've got so many brilliant return on investment figures on the front page of their website. He said, you really need to do that on yours. So I've been spending the week dick swinging in a very ladylike fashion so that people can actually see at a glance what I can do for them. And okay, here we go. I'm not hiding my light under a bushel anymore.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's a more ladylike explanation.
Well, I'm going to put dick swinging brackets in a very ladylike fashion, because actually under a bushel could have another connotation altogether, which we won't go there.
I'm bringing my dick out from under the bush, so I'm swinging it.
No, stop it immediately.
We're going to have to be parental guidance on this one, I think.
Bushel. I said bushel, not bush.
But it's an attitude as well. It's an attitude that men have quite naturally, and I think it must be the testosterone-fueled changing room from the sports field thing. And I'm actually quite a blokey girl, as anyone listening to this would know, and I actually quite enjoy doing a bit of dick swinging. But I've been definitely doing more of it, and I have actually attracted a brand new client this week who has come possibly as a result of the social media activity around talking about return on investment clients are enjoying. So it does work. You might have to brace yourself to do it a bit, but I think it's about making sure that you don't hide your light under a bushel in a modest fashion so that nobody actually knows what you can do for them or how you can help them. Now I've reduced you to silence, so when we
I was writing notes, not about dick swinging, but I know what you mean. Blowing your own trumpet.
Yes, exactly. But there you go, blowing your own trumpet, not from under a bushel.
No.
Stand on a hill and blow it instead. Right, we could carry on this vein for a long time, but we're not going to. Focus.
Thank heavens.
Project updates.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay, all right. So, we had a conversation earlier in the week when I said I'm thinking of launching a mastermind level coaching
Yes.
program. And is that distracting me? Is it out of focus? Is it, should I do it? Should I not? Should I just relax knowing that clicks and leads is going to work? and he is working brilliantly, and should I just have a rest and take the afternoons off and all that stuff? A little idea has occurred in the fact that, I've been doing my sums and I've been looking at what I've achieved over the year, and I'm just wondering if I shouldn't have a mastermind level mentoring course for social media service agency owners, like social media consultants, web designers, software developers, pay-per-click agencies, SEO agencies. People who are social media consultants spring to mind particularly because they are like coaches. They're not very business orientated and they're not actually earning very much money. I mean, I keep coming across social media people who are running people's whole social media campaigns for 200, 300 quid a month. And I just wonder if there's not a space in the marketplace. I don't need to do anything. I just need to change the wording on the front of my Clicks, Leads and Sales website and see what happens.
Okay.
But then, is that just taking my focus away from clicks and leads? Will it even work if I'm not focusing on it? Probably not.
Will people who are only making 200 a month choose to afford you?
Well, to be honest, I was thinking about those might join the lower level membership, at $79 a month. But I was just thinking about, just changing my whole mentoring membership to really focus on digital service providers.
Oh, I certainly don't think that's a bad idea.
No. And it wouldn't hurt, would it? Because
no.
Yeah, okay, so I might do that then. So that's my project updates.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm just thinking out loud. No, I'm not. I'm writing notes because I'm not quite sure of my maths. Right. So I'm going to tell you about two. I was only going to tell you about one. I'm going to try it two. One, €5 on my lotto overnight, which means after draw 7, I'm €32 up at no cost to myself, which is much better than I've ever done on Camelot ever. And last night my winning was on 2 of my own numbers, which in 7 draws, the only winnings I've made on my own numbers was last night, because what this is proving to me is you're never going to win the lottery, which we all know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to lay that down like that because I suspect I will. But the biggest win here is on the numbers of other people in my syndicate, but even bigger than that, the numbers, the tickets I get for people I've introduced, which even if you get no numbers is worth €1. But I'm not going to go into that one because I've talked about it a lot before. I went back to my original blog post of the 11 things. Do you remember?
Oh, yes, I do, yes.
And I've edited it to, I haven't changed the title because we don't like changing blog titles, but I've edited, I put an introductory paragraph explaining why I'm editing the list down to 7, which ones have worked, which ones haven't worked, and how much money I've made out of it. And I put a note to that effect on our podcast. I can't remember whether I put it on our page or our group, but I know for people who've been listening to be whittering on about this. And the good thing, back to my word of the week, which was sums, because I actually spent a little bit of time, I can't remember what it was, it might have been Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, working out how much I'd made from each of the 7. And I discovered number 6 that's made more money than all the others put together and is 83% passive. And it was the one I talked about last week, and you said, how does it work? And I went, I haven't worked out yet. But it's the one about supplements. It seems to me that every £50 I spend turns into £100 cash back initially, and then another £1,350 later. And what I was trying to work out when I was listening to you talk is whether it's £1,350 later or £2,700 later. I can't work that out. But the point of this story is I found in the 7, I've reduced my 11 to 7,
yeah.
And I found the big one that makes money in the middle, which is mostly passive. And I'm going to put all my attention on that one. And I'm not going to pull out of the others because they're all passive as well. Let me just check this. 1, pretty much passive, could be improved with a bit of effort. 2, passive. 3, passive. 4, passive. 5, active, which is profit accumulator, which I haven't got time to do in term time at all. I might do a bit in December. But I found this diamond in the rough, which I'm now going to focus on to work out how it works, because a lot of people buy supplements. These are top-notch quality. I'm using 2 of them myself and noticing improvements from their usage. And I think if you knew that £50, all you had to do was spend £50 and ultimately you would get £1,350 back. I mean, and you get a top quality supplement and you're already using supplements. I mean, that's a no-brainer, isn't it?
I don't know. It sounds
No,
like.
no, listen. If you're spending, if you're already buying supplements and you switch to one where you get cash back of £1,350, why wouldn't you do that?
No, I totally. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying that a lot of people listening will. I mean, I'm not someone who takes supplements, but as I'm starting to come into the age where I probably should, I am starting to look at supplements. So I am a potential marketplace person for you. But you are very capable of doing some quite complex arithmetic that most people. I mean, I just get completely overwhelmed when you talk about your sums.
Well, it's only because I've got so many of them going on. Now I've worked out which is the one. I think, you see, I think you're a strange person because you give people quite complex written instructions, but you are completely incapable of following anybody else's quite reasonably simple or complex or medium written instructions. And I think of you often, actually, when you say, "Oh, I can't understand it," because you teach quite complex things yourself. So you find it easier to teach people complex things than you do necessarily to look at other people's complex things. And it's because you're more interested in teaching than you are in learning about other people's complex things. So these aren't very complex. I'm telling you, spend 50 quid, get 1,350 quid back. That's it.
Well, perhaps I ought to have a look at it then, because I definitely.
No, I'm not trying to sell to you.
No, I know that, but
I'm trying to say to you that I'm now, having worked out what the diamond in the rough is, and all of these I won't sell to another person until I've seen them make money. And I see this one now because there's all this online stuff, and I'm accidentally, like you said earlier on, leading in this group I'm in, and because I'm accidentally leading, I'm the one that's most likely to receive the most income soonest. Yeah. And therefore, once I've got the proof of that, and the only thing I've done this week is go, oh my God, look, this one's making so much more money than the other ones. And what all I've done is decided this week I'm going to focus on that one, because I wasn't in the supplement market either. I'm not even particularly interested in supplements. In fact, I'm a bit in two minds about supplements, but it's a big market, and I know these are top quality, and I know people like supplements and appreciate supplements, and I'm going to be taking 2 of them, one of which only arrived on Monday, so I've had 2 days worth, and I can't report yet whether or not it's doing me any good. But if it is, oh blimey, if you're a user of something which works and a £50 spend brings even £100 cash back, yeah. It's going to be so easy to market it, and I'll be like a zealot with it, really.
Well, that's what I was saying, because I'm thinking of starting to take supplements. I am sort of someone in the target.
Well, they have a full range here, which I'll talk to you about later, but it's a fascinating model, which that's the bit I haven't got my head around yet. But because I've got December off, instead of focusing on all the 7, I'm going to hone in on the one and go, right, let me watch all the videos now. Let me work out, now that I can see this working, let me work out what the mechanism is so I can explain it to you and other people simply.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll look forward to that, as well as to buying some supplements. So who or what's impressed then?
Well, I don't know that I'm going to be able to sell this one to you, but I'll give it a go. Do you like tennis?
No.
Well, Great Britain this week have done something historic, which you won't know about.
Yes,
we've won the Davis Cup for the first time since 1936.
Yeah.
Largely due to Andy Murray and his brother. Not exclusively, because a team effort's a team effort. And I had 2 thoughts about this. First of all, obviously, it's marvellous. And historically, the UK, or GB as we are in sport, is a funny old thing where, sometimes we win the Ashes, but mostly we're disappointed with our cricketers. Football, don't start me on our international football. We never do it. Oh, it's embarrassing. And, golf, we play with a European team in the Ryder Cup, and I think we've won that. The America's Cup, which is yachting, we've tried to win back for the Brits forever, blah, blah, blah. These people, this is my theme of the week, Holy Grail, secret key, podcasting for 57 episodes before you get an opportunity. These people, the British team, have been trying to win this back since 1936. Can you imagine going in for something every year for 79 years and and still keeping up the faith across generations to
Yeah.
keep trying to win it back for your nation.
That is quite impressive when you think about it. I did have a little blub, I must confess, when
Well, it's awesome. It's awesome. Not just because we're British. This could happen in any nation. It's about, outstanding personal and team endeavour over an extended period of time. And what I like about this story is tennis. Andy Murray, for instance, must be pretty lonely because tennis, in the main, he does by himself. Okay, he's got a team around him, but out there on the court, it's him and him alone. And if he fails, we're all disappointed again. But when he wins, we're delighted. But in this thing, he played as part of a team. And I just thought how refreshing that must be when you're generally an individualist in your sport to get a chance to be, in a team and to lead that team or co-lead that team to victory. I thought it was that's the thing that's impressed me most this week, really, mainly the 1936 factor. And I think when he won Wimbledon a couple of years back, he was the first British man to win that since about 1936.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. I think that was 77. It was 70 years in both examples.
Yes, he's doing quite well, and he's smiling quite a lot. I did catch that thing where the team all were on the court holding up the cup and things. And it did make me blub because I love achievement of any kind, and it.
Can we just talk about this smiling thing? I'm very cross about this smiling thing actually, because when you walk along the street and people say "smile, love," there is no requirement from an international sportsman playing at his top level to smile. It's so bimbo-esque. Honestly, the man is focused. He's the weight of the world on it, responsibility on him. What's this thing about smiling? It really gets on my.
I know, and in fact, I'm only repeating it because
everybody else has. I know. Get over yourselves, you bloody people. The man is just a sporting genius, the like of which we don't see very much around these parts. And frankly, if I was him and somebody told me to smile, they'd see the backside of my racket.
We're definitely parental advisory now.
Right, now tell me what's impressed you this week.
Okay. It's come out of my focusing thing. The whole thing about if you focus, you overcome obstacles that you don't if you've got 2 or 3 things on the go, because you go off and do something else rather than solve the problems. One of my ongoing challenges for the last 3 years actually, has been how to take money online on a recurring basis going through Infusionsoft, particularly because you have to have a special kind of PayPal account. They won't give it to me because I used to be bankrupt, and it's all just been a complete and utter pain. And then when I started Clicks and Leads at the beginning of the year, I started really researching this because I realised that waiting for clients to pay you at the end of the month promptly is not ever going to happen. So it's much better to get them on some sort of recurring billing. PayPal is not suitable for that for 2 reasons. One is they take 4% off you, which is painful. The other one is that if a client decides they don't want to have paid you that month, they can go to PayPal and say, I didn't want to pay that. They took it unexpectedly, without my permission, and then the funds get seized and it all goes through a inquiry process, and it's very, again, painful. But I discovered a lovely, lovely thing called Stripe. Stripe is an online payment gateway. You can get approved for it in about 2 hours, and it's just effortless to set up. The only problem with Stripe is that it doesn't have any kind of thing that makes it integrate with your. You can integrate it with PayPal, with Infusionsoft. You can integrate it with shopping cart and everything, but you need a developer to do it really, and also to set up order forms on your website. Again, you need a developer to do it. Well, there's a lovely little bit of kit called Moonclerk, Moonclerk, which is another effortless to set up thing, and actually free. You don't pay for the accounts as such. There's no recurring thing every month, but they do take a percentage of the transactions you put through it. But it enables you to create beautiful little forms that go on your website, or that can be sent to client as links in covering emails and things, and the client just clicks through, sees a nice little customized form, and they sign up, and the two things together, Moonclerk and Stripe, don't add up to as much as PayPal are charging. So if you're struggling with online payment gateways, set up a Stripe account, hook it up to Moonclerk. And yesterday I wanted to set up a client from he's in England, but his company's based in America, so I suddenly needed dollars and recurring billing in dollars. And I've got quite a complex arrangement in that I want people to pay a setup fee, and then they pay 3 months up front, and then there's a delay of 90 days, and then their monthly payments kick in. So it's quite a complex arrangement. But I set it up in minutes with Moonclark because I was able to just go and get a dollar account with them as well as a pound sterling account. And when I think of the pain I've been through over the last 3 years, just because I've never had the time to apply myself to this issue, and then as soon as I've got focused on it, it got solved with 2 little bits of software kit that are just so easy to use. It's marvellous.
I would like to put the opposing view, which
Okay.
is I've never had any difficulties with PayPal in 15 years, and all my clients pay me on PayPal recurring, and I build in the 3.46% into the costing.
Are you down to 3.6% now, are you?
I don't think I'm down to that. I think it is. Maybe
No, it's not. Basically how it works. PayPal is once you start turning over more than £1,500 a month, they
goes down.
give you a preferable rate, and then if you get over £15,000 a month, you get another preferable rate, and it goes.
Okay, and that's exactly how credit cards work as well. When restaurants take, your money on a credit, the turnover, as it rises, your credit card percentage you pay reduces.
You've never had clients who've signed up for a 90-day trial and then at the end of it they stay for a month or two and then they go and ask for their months?
No, but I don't do that. Okay. People pay for a month and get a month, but it's recurring and I like it. And I've heard lots of horror stories about PayPal. I never expect them to happen to me, so they don't.
Yeah. No, I've never had a really bad. Well, actually, that's not true. With Raw Local, we did have them keeping 1,600 quid for a while, which made a bit of a dent in our cash flow. But
I do think PayPal is reasonably expensive, but I think we have an expectation. I don't know why we have this. We have an expectation somehow that banks, because they have access to our money, should provide it free. I don't know how that works, but I always consider what the cost of taking it via PayPal is, and I weigh it up against the ease of international payment and the instant receipt and notification and ability to spend it versus the cost. And when I'm talking to clients, because PayPal's so easy for most people, when I'm talking to clients, I just say that if they go, well, it's 4%, I say, well, stick it on top.
Yeah, and the other thing, of course, is you're right. You get the money straight away. Stripe does keep your money for a week, which is not as bad as WorldPay, who keep it for a month.
Well, they used to keep it for a month, WorldPay. I'm not sure they do anymore. Certainly when you and I went into it, it took months to get an account with WorldPay. I remember where I was living when I did it. And then, they did keep it for a while. I think it's a little bit faster now. But, when a client's paying me £2,000 or £3,000 and I get 4.2%. Oh, I totally agree. If somebody's paying me a big sum of money, in my Boxing Day offer, I won't be using PayPal. I'll be inviting them to pay online. But I think that the very fact that I'll be doing that will put a step between me and the instant money. So it is something that has to be thought about, I think. Yeah. And one more point about this PayPal. I think, yes, it depends on what you're selling. So, for instance, the thing that you're selling, where people want to pull their Facebook ad campaigns while you're on holiday without talking to you about it, is much more likely to lead to a PayPal dispute situation than where I have a relationship with a client who's paying me in monthly installments and they've agreed to work with me for a year or whatever it is. Yeah. Okay. So different horses, different courses. Yeah, I think so. Yes. So I think if you're a smallish business and you want ease of setup and of international acceptance, and your product's quite uncontroversial, then. And of course, you can, if a client pays you a month more than they want to for whatever reason, either you don't cancel it or they don't, you can refund it instantly as well. I know what you're saying. I think we just got to weigh up the pros and cons of systems, haven't we? Yeah, absolutely. But do be aware there's an alternative out there. I mean, my main issue was that the PayPal Payments Pro account was not available to me, so I couldn't. And it was once I let go of it all having to integrate with Infusionsoft that I found these others. I tell you that it would be available to you now because, of course, you're a limited company. No, they're still turning me down and not telling me why. Oh, I've applied since being a limited company and they just won't. Okay, that's very interesting. The annoying thing is they won't tell you why or when it might change, which is just infuriating. So. Well, no, you're right to be infuriated about that. That's just poor. And the point of this was you were saying that focus to solve a problem, wasn't it? So who or what's impressed you was Moonclark.
Yes, it was the software, but actually I've impressed myself by focusing.
Yes, you have. I thought you were going to say that. I've impressed myself by my focus to find a solution. Absolutely.
Yes, that's good. And that ends us on a much more positive note.
Yes, it does.
Good. We're upbeat. Let's knock it on the head there and say goodbye for this week, and thank you very much for joining us. And don't forget, if you're enjoying the show, don't forget to give us a review. It's incredibly important. Thank you very much. Bye. You've been listening to Nicola Cairncross and Judith Morgan. The podcast is called Own It, Your Business and Your Life. Do come and visit us at ownitthepodcast.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can find out more about Judith and visit her on her website at judithmorgan.com, and you can find Nicola at nicolacairncross.com.